What's up? Welcome to my video. Okay, so I'm gonna do this straight commentary on Nick Dipaolo's video. um, so here it is.
Permanent and everything in between. I'm so tired of this PC culture of being told what's acceptable, what is not.
All right, so Nick Dipaolo lately has pretty much put up this promo on his podcast, and it's pretty much him telling people how he's sick of the non-PC culture, etc., etc. I just want to say, buddy, you are part of the PC culture, all right? You guys are selectively racist, selectively biased, all right? Like a lot of my videos I've put up just absolutely criticizing hypocrites on them, saying how they are non-PC, how they are pushing the boundaries, etc., etc., except for the fact that they are actually a bunch of selectively racist people who go after certain groups because they can get away with it. They kind of change up the script a little bit. They kind of, make positive racism, negative racism, and neutral racism stereotypes, positive stereotypes, neutral stereotypes, and negative stereotypes. They kind of put it all in the same boat. Positive stereotypes, when you do positive stereotypes, it's not racist, man. You're actually just giving out compliments to certain races. You're doing negative and neutral stereotypes. Neutral stereotypes are racial natures. They're not racist. As far as negative stereotypes are concerned, that's the stereotype that nobody wants. Negative stereotypes is the only stereotypes that is racist stereotypes. And these guys pretty much have this setup where they kind of work in their racism towards certain groups by just using, you know, just doing it in a certain way where they can get away with it.
Not acceptable as far as comedy goes. It's all acceptable. We live in the United States.
Comedy is not all acceptable, and this guy knows that comedy is not all acceptable, because here's the thing: he's friends with Sarah Silverman. She did blackface. She had to apologize for it. The only reason why that dude from Saturday Night Live got kicked off wasn't because he did some comedy skit about Asians. It's because they found out he did some comedy skits about black people. He did some comedy skits about Jews. That's where he got kicked off. And as far as Nick Dipaolo is concerned, this guy is pretty big on saying faggot. He's pretty big on saying zipper heads, but you won't ever catch him saying the word negroid, nigger, nigga. He won't actually go out of his way to do blackface, any of that stuff. He won't call Jews kikes, etc., etc. But he's proud of going out of his way to say zipperheads, faggots, spics, turban heads. He's all right with saying that stuff that he can get away with. All right. I bet you if any of these groups were as violent as black people are with this stuff, and there's a chance of him getting punched out or getting accosted because of this stuff, he would not be saying that stuff. And to me, that's just cowardly, man. All you're doing is pretty much doing selective racism, transferring racism, etc., etc.
It's about freedom of speech.
You know what? Here's the thing about freedom of speech, Nick. Freedom of speech, all right, when you have this conversation between a couple of people, 4 or 5 people, and you do these jokes around 4 or 5 people, it's freedom of speech. All right. When you actually have millions, hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of fans, and you constantly put this out, a certain negativity out, a certain racism out, it goes to tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions, sometimes billions of people. That's not freedom of speech, man. That's not freedom of speech. That's conditioning the population. All right? That's conditioning the population. All right? Don't make this about freedom of speech, buddy. All right? Don't make this about freedom of speech. It's not about freedom of speech. All right? It is not about freedom of speech. The average dude on the street, when he has an issue with that, does not have the same audience that you do. All right, these people make money off of racism, is what they do. It's not freedom of speech. Think about that. Think about how, if the average person on the street has maybe he has a conversation with five people. He says he hates this entire he hates this group, etc., etc. Versus somebody who has access to an audience that they've built up over time, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, in Donald Trump's case, the whole entire world, and he says something negative. It's not freedom of speech, man. It becomes a racism thing, because then you're making it a situation where people are most people are simple-minded, and they're getting thoughts on this, and a lot of these people don't have enough self-restraint to keep themselves from going out and making these thoughts some real life situation. So don't say it's freedom of speech, man. On top of that, freedom of speech, you guys are selective racist on that freedom of speech stuff. Selectively racist. And which goes back to my previous point about how you guys do freedom of speech when it doesn't harm you, but when it does harm you, you guys go and tell people that it's freedom of speech. All right, you guys are a bunch of hypocrites. Not only hypocrites, but a bunch of cowards.
I'm sick and tired of it. That's why I created the Nick Dipaolo show.
Nobody cares whether you're sick or tired of it. Nobody cares whether you're sick or tired of it. People, on average, are sick and tired of you guys trying to push your agenda. And this is an agenda. This is not even entertainment. It is an agenda that you guys have of pushing your views on the population. Wrong. Okay, it's not just comedy. Okay, let's think about how the advertising industry advertises stuff. It's not just entertainment. They're out there to influence people. You're out there to influence people. All right, be honest. You seem like you seem like you're more logical than the average retard entertainer, and I call them retard entertainers because these guys are the biggest sheep in the world. They're the biggest cowards in the world from what I've seen over the last 20-25 years, and on top of that, they're okay with swapping out racism from one group to another group.
Monday through Thursday, where I can say whatever I want and don't have to worry about sponsors or getting upset.
This guy says he says whatever he wants, but he doesn't. Even if he doesn't have any sponsors, this guy does not say whatever he wants, all right? Think about the way where he describes certain groups, where he name calls certain groups. He'll say a lot of negative things about women. He'll call them cunts. He'll call gay people, fags. He'll call Asian people zipperheads. I'm sure he'll call Latino spics, but he won't even go anywhere close to negroid, nigga, kike. He won't actually do any of this stuff that he knows that he can't get away with. Enough of this stuff. All right? It pains me. It doesn't annoy me that you're racist. It annoys me that you're selectively biased, selectively racist, which pretty much not only makes you a biased person, a racist person, it actually makes you a coward and a hypocrite. That's what I have the problems with.
That's what the internet was created for, okay? And we recently made the show free Monday through Thursday. We can only do that with your help. If you go to nickdip.com, click on the Nick Dipaolo show, you can contribute to the show financially, which is now the lifeblood of the show. I can't thank you enough for that. But I'm sick of watching mainstream news and the internet, social media. It's all left-wing horseshit. There's two types of people.
I mean, this guy wants to say left-wing horseshit. Here's the thing about what's left-wing horseshit. This whole social justice warrior movement got started by the blacks and the Jews, and it continues with the black and the Jews, the original alphabet people of the NAACP, the ADL. All right, for this guy to go and rant about social justice warriors, liberals, etc., without actually bringing those two groups up, hey, take away everything that those two groups have gone over the last 20-25 years as a result of social justice warring, liberalism, etc., then you can have an opinion about everybody else. Bash the hell out of them, then you can have an opinion about everybody else. Until then, just shut the F up, bro.
In this world, people who are politically correct and people who are for the truth. Okay? And that's what this show...
Nah, man. No, this show is about selectively for the truth, selectively for politics, selectively. It's always selective something with these people. Selective racism, selective bias, selective, etc., etc., etc.
was about free speech and reporting it the way I see it.
It's not about free speech, man. All right, Hitler didn't have free speech. All right, you know they're keeping certain groups from having their opinion. All right, you can't say nothing about blacks. You can't say nothing about Jews. It's been that way for the last 25 years. So if you can't say anything about those two groups, you probably shouldn't say anything about any groups. All right, you can't have it your way. You cannot have it your way and want it that way where you selectively go off on certain groups, and then when it comes to other groups you're pretty soft on them. All right, and you guys know how you guys do that,
and unapologetically, don't have to worry about it. So go to nickdip.com, click on the Nick Dipaolo button, and you can make a contribution, or you can go to patreon.com, sign up as a monthly supporter, and if you do that, you get an extra story a day. You get to ask me a question and access to over 300 shows that we've done so far. And folks, it's nowhere else. People are loving the show because they're like, I would love to say that at work, but I can't. So I go to you to hear it. And some of you go, you sound just like me. You sound like my uncle. You sound like my brother.
Nah, man, nah. Listen. You get like a small percentage of retards on for your audience that pretty much are biased, are racist, can't think for themselves. So they'll freaking go to your show and they'll just eat up what you have to say. It's conditioning, man. Okay, it's not just entertainment. It's just conditioning. All right, you either hate everybody the same or love everybody the same. Do not be selective with your bias. That's all I ask, is not to be selective with your bias. But that's what you guys do. You guys are pretty selective with your bias, and you guys don't even know that. I mean, think about that.
And that's how most of the country feels, except for the Democrat Party and the fucking mainstream media, okay? So we appreciate your support, and we can only do it, again, with your help. So I want all of you to enjoy the show. So, enjoy. That was beautiful. You're like Casey Kasem on that machine. Hi, folks. Welcome to the show. The Nick Dipaolo podcast is on Tuesday. Coming to you from Georgia. Nice to be with you. How you holding up with the coronavirus? It's only another couple of years. Don't worry about it. Don't hit your kids. Leave that to me. Oh, God. I can't imagine being trapped. I keep thinking of Jim Gaffigan, who has 5 kids living in a 2-bedroom in New York. Probably has 10 houses. Who are we kidding? But he talks about that all the time. Good to be with you. Thank you for the contributions, because the show's free. We rely on you to keep it alive now. And you can do that by going to nickandip.com, clicking on the Nick Dipaolo Show. If you watch on YouTube, hit that button right there. And or sign up at patreon.com, where you can be a monthly subscriber, get an extra story every day. And you can ask me a question. You have access to over 300 shows that we've already done. And we thank you for your support in these trying times because of those lying fucking zipperheads. What kind of racism is that? It's the old-fashioned kind.
Yeah, man, listen. Calling people zipperheads, man. Listen, look. Coronavirus. I know Trump's been saying that, saying it's a Chinese virus, Wuhan virus. It's called the coronavirus for a reason, okay? Go on eBay and look up coronavirus. Just put coronavirus in there. Dude, the coronavirus has been around. It's just a variant of the flu. All right, it's been around for a long time. It's been around for a long time. That name's been around for a long time. It's just a generic name for the flu. If you don't believe me, go on eBay, put in coronavirus. They've written books about it. This is not just something they just named recently. All right, Nick, this is not something they named recently. And as far as zipperheads, okay, you guys are big on calling certain people certain names. Like, you're all right with calling Asians zipperheads. You're okay with calling Latinos spics. You're okay with calling, gay people faggots. But I don't ever hear you going and saying negroid, nigger. I don't hear you saying kike. I don't hear you saying anything that's hook-nosed. I don't see you here. I don't see you doing any of the bias stuff on the same level that you do to blacks and Jews. Why is that? Why is it that you are okay with constantly doing this? I can get away with this, with name calling for certain groups and not other groups. I mean, think about that.
I don't even believe in it, but I say it because it bothers people. I will continue to say it.
Bro, you say it because you are a retard. You say it because you are a moron. You say it because you are a racist. All right, you say it because you're selectively racist. You like going around kind of bullying, culturally bullying groups that you can bully, and then when it comes to groups that you can't bully, you do nothing but throw out positive and neutral stereotypes just to say you're racist all around, but you're not. You're not, bro. Think about that. All right, you and every other of these non-PC comedians, you guys know exactly where the boundaries are, so you guys know where not to tread and where to tread. It's just cowardly and racist, man.
This is the problem. Okay? Well,
here's the thing about it. You just put out that picture. That's the problem. It's like you think of yourself as a non-PC dude, but here's the thing. You would never put out a picture of a black face and saying this is the problem of crime in America. You've never done that. All right, this is where your racism is, man. This is where your hypocrisy is. This is where your bias is. Buddy, put more Asian people, have more Asian Americans work for you, all right? You're just an absolute retard wop of a person is what you are, all right? You guys, this guy loves to play up his whole Italian American heritage. All right, you guys came here, from you guys got a free pass as far as immigration is concerned. All right, the Chinese Americans were here probably like 100 years longer en masse. Chinatown was probably was around 100 years longer than Little Italy was. I don't get how you retards go out of your way to do your little WAP thing where you think you're more Americanized than everybody else. Enough is enough. You are a freaking moron.
Health organizations throughout the United States is this lying communist government that you back up, along with Pelosi and the rest of she's the fucking virus. Get a vaccine for liberalism. It'll sell out in 3 minutes. Should have a test for liberal. You know what you do? You bend over and stick a swab in their ass. If they enjoy it, you're fucking liberal. What?
Yeah, there you go again, man. Listen, you're always constantly having something to say about certain groups of people, whether they be women's groups or trans groups or gay groups. But here's the thing about it. You guys are pretty much selective on your racism when it benefits you, when you can get away with it. Like I'm actually repeating myself right now because it's just an ongoing theme with these people who say they're non-PC, that they don't have any boundaries. You guys, that's the only thing you guys have are boundaries, man.
My God, that was filthy. Kind of mood him in. Let's get right to it, shall we? Oh my God, our favorite person. CNN's Don Lemon opposes taking coronavirus briefings live. Imagine that. MSNBC already came out against it, and CNN. These are media outlets who are against free speech. Just think about that. Let that settle in. But you keep watching those channels, you assholes. Not you guys. Obviously, you're watching me. Oh, corona. I know I got it in Chicago. Never had chills like that in my life, and then I only had it for 2 days. Why? Because my immune system, the smoke. Even the fucking Chinese virus doesn't want any part of Marlboro Light fucking cancer. Anyways, during the transition between CNN's Cuomo Primetime and CNN Tonight on Monday, Don Lemon, you know Don Lemon, don't you? I suck cock, and I love it. Yummy.
Yeah, so here's another thing with with this BS. I'm constantly repeating myself because I'm trying to get through to you guys that consider yourselves non-PC, that there are just certain groups that you guys will talk about in the most negative way, but let me say something. If the gays were like the blacks, where if you offend them, they'll just come up and they'll just punch you in the face or whatever. And if there's enough stories of that going around, I guarantee you this dude will not be saying anything about gay people. It just shows you the amount of cowardness, the cowardly nature of these comedians, these entertainers. They're like just absolutely cowardly when it comes to who they pick on, who they go after, who they won't go after, etc., etc. It just solidifies the fact that they have so many boundaries. All right, they're just hypocrites. They're just so hypocritical.
Chris Cuomo disagreed over whether news networks should carry the White House press briefings. Can you fucking imagine? Yeah, why do you want to hear from the people who are saving us? Oh, it doesn't go with your narrative. Fucking sickening. Anyways, here's the clip of Don Lemon and Chris Cuomo just having a little debate. Thank you for watching us. Our coverage continues, of course. CNN Tonight with D. Lemon right now. D. Lemon.
How you doing? Do you really want to have this conversation? Because when it comes out of my mouth, it's political.
No, what comes out of your mouth is your boyfriend's fucking sugar cube.
When I say the exact words that you said, for some reason, it's political.
Yes.
Yeah, like over and over again. Like, this guy is so proud of going, right after, going on with his whole anti-gay thing, like putting out names, etc., etc. He won't do it to blacks and Jews. All right, he won't do it to blacks and Jews. It's just cowardly, bro. Every time I watch, I watch something like this, I just think to myself, your hypocrisy is ridiculous. Okay, the fact that you're okay knowing that you guys purposely go after certain groups because you guys can get away with it, it's just cowardly, man. I mean, I don't see I don't see these quote-unquote non-PC dudes, even with the Family Guy, even with South Park, these shows that consider themselves non-PC, these groups are pretty soft when it comes to jokes about, blacks. They're pretty soft when it comes to jokes about Jews. They only do positive and negative stereotypes. I mean, they only do positive and neutral stereotypes. That's the only stereotypes they do, positive and neutral stereotypes. Stereotypes that don't matter to groups. But when it comes to negative stereotypes, they'll stay away from when it comes to those groups. But they'll do negative stereotypes on gays, trans, illegals, Muslims, Asians, Mexicans. They'll just do, it's just idiotic. And I've been calling these guys out, on what they're doing. I've been calling them out. People just need to just realize, wake up, that these non-PC guys are not non-PC guys. All right, they're absolutely PC. Okay, and and what they're doing is just cowardly.
I don't think that you should really listen to what he says. You should listen to what the experts say. I'm not actually sure.
Yeah, that's who's behind them. And then they speak. You fucking biased, ignorant, hey, I'm on TV because I'm black and gay. But I talk like I'm white. Look at that face.
Yeah, so here's the thing. He'll call him black and gay, but, he won't call him, like a spear chucker, right? He won't call him a chimp. He'll call him African American, he'll call him white, but he won't go that gay route where he'll just throw out, you're nothing but a nigger faggot. He won't do that. All right, that's the thing about these dudes who go non-PC. They'll figure out where the boundaries are, how far they could go when it comes to insulting black people. But they're pretty like you can see here. He calls him black. He doesn't call him something that's the relative, whatever. He won't call him something that's really negative, because he knows once he does that, he won't have a show anymore. They'll kick him off this platform. All right, and that's why I'm calling. Look, I don't care that you're racist or biased, as long as you're racist and biased on the same level with everybody, Nick. Do it on the same level with everybody. If you're okay with calling gay people faggots, you should be okay with calling, Jews kikes. You should be okay with calling blacks niggers. All right, you can call him a nigger faggot, and I would be like, okay, well, at least he has balls. At least this guy, goes out of his way of being fair when it comes to his racism, instead of just being cowardly with it.
How many times he's made that biting into a pillow? Go ahead, fucking
be honest, that we should carry that live.
Oh, sure,
I think we should run snippets. I think we should do it afterwards and get the pertinent points to the American people, because he's never, ever going to tell you the truth. And guess what he's going to do? If you ask a question that is a legitimate question, and if he doesn't like the question, he's going to say, whether you're being mean or not, or whatever he wants to call it, he's going to say, that is a mean, nasty question. Why? Because he wants his base to think that the
Pause. No. Nobody's watching you. Your ratings are in the toilet. Okay? You take the fucking TVs out of airports, you wouldn't be on the air. Nobody believes a word CNN has been saying, except for the idiots who are far left. That's why. And 93% of his coverage since he came down the escalator has been negative. And you've been leading the charge. You're a propaganda arm of the Democrat Party. You're a fucking corporate shill, and you gobble go. Go ahead.
Mean to him, and they're...
All right, man. Let me just say something about the whole Trump situation. People who are for Trump. Let me tell you something about this thing. All right, Donald Trump. I am a apolitical kind of guy. What I do is I look at certain things and I try to see it as fairly as possible. I'm the real non-PC guy. All right, I try to see things as fairly as I can without any kind of prejudicial thoughts on it. All right, here's the thing about Trump. All right, the guy talks a big game. He talks a big game. He says this, he says that, he says this. That's his thing. He talks a big game, but when it comes to just doing what he needs to do or wants to do, tells you he's going to do, he doesn't. Has the wall been built up? Will the wall be built up? Will the wall be built up? That wall will not be built up. Okay, that wall will not be built up. And Donald Trump says one thing, but he does something else. He wants illegals in this country. He knows, the fact that for a country to grow, you actually need more people in this country. He knows that. I mean, I read somewhere that the amount of illegal immigrants coming to this country has risen higher than when Obama was in office. I mean, think about that. All right. When it comes to politicians, don't go by what they tell you. Always go by the facts. Always go by the facts. Go with statistics. Go with the changes, the real changes, and not what you're told about them. And this is where the stupidity of people like Nick Dipaolo and people who actually go out of their way to cite Trump Donald Trump. And look, I'm not saying anything negative about Donald Trump. All right, I think he's doing the best he can, as with any president who's in who has this situation, who would have this situation be brought upon them.
Backing him. It is all a plot. It is all orchestrated. And if you can't see it, I don't know what you're looking at. So, it's obvious, it's self-apparent to me. This has become, those press briefings have become his new apprentice. They've become his new laws.
Okay, let me tell you. Let me tell you about Italians, WAPs, and Jews in the industry. As far as it's something's regarding Jews and WAPs. They have this thing where they think they're kind of part of the minority, but they're not, kind of deal. It's really hard to put like a finger on it. They're kind of white, but they're not white, kind of deal. So it's okay for them to get away with a certain amount of racism towards people and stuff like that. Like it takes away a lot of accountability when it comes to these guys, Jews and Italians. Like they think of themselves as bona fide New Yorkers, etc., that they have a part in the whole New York community thing. Look, man, look, you guys are no more New Yorkers than everybody else. Enough with this garbage. They like playing up certain things. They like playing up the whole Italian greaseball heritage. The Jews like playing up the whole Holocaust heritage. Like, oh, you know what? We sacrifice for this country, etc. You guys are some of the biggest hypocrites. You guys are just hypocrites when it comes to stuff like this. All right, decide where you want to stand on. Decide which side of the field you want to stand on, and just stay there, man. Don't do this thing where you guys flip flop, and you guys think you guys can get away with racism because you guys weren't Anglo-Protestant people and stuff. Enough. It just kills me, the hypocrisy that comes out of a lot of Jewish people, a lot of Italian people, particularly the ones in New York. It just makes me want to throw up sometimes. Sarah Silverman, like Nick Dipaolo, you guys, I'm sure you guys know each other. You guys are like the most retarded people on the planet. Constantly going out of your way to say so many negative things about certain groups, but then when it comes to you going and making jokes about other groups like blacks and your own race, you guys are kind of soft on that, man.
They're keeping you on the air. That's the only time you get ratings is when he's on. You're so stupid, Mr. Lamone. So stupid. Look at Cuomo. Look at Fredo. Wants to headbutt this guy. Look at Chris. Who's doing the lighting over there? Looks like every corpse I've seen at open caskets. Go ahead.
He treats the press and the media as if he's talking to the people in his rallies. It's the same thing. So that the audience is not there.
I understand the frustration with his messaging. But you know what? Too many dead people. And there's too much need for information.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to point out the obvious. I'm just saying pointing out the obvious, especially as a journalist, is not being political. If we're dressed like a limo driver, then we're not doing our duty as journalists to point that out. That's our job to point that out. That's exactly what
I hear people saying, you are not making something up. A lot of people are saying, oh, don't cover it. Don't cover when he says this. I'm not saying don't cover censorship. I'm not saying don't cover it. That's not what I'm saying.
I'm saying a lot of people are saying that. No, MSNBC and you are saying it. A lot of people. What's your definition of a lot of people? Can you imagine? These guys are in the media.
All right, so I'm just gonna end this with this. Reason why I get on like Nick Dipaolo, people like Nick Dipaolo, Sarah Silverman, Dave Chappelle, Jerry Seinfeld, entertainers in general, over the last 20 years, these guys pretty much had free reign as far as just throwing out their garbage, the selective racism, and it's just pretty much been just the last 20 years. They're saying that this whole freedom of speech thing with entertainers have always been the case, but you go back previous to the to the mid 1990s, 80s, 70s, there was always, these people did not have, there were safeguards against them just throwing out their racism and telling people that it's jokes and stuff like that. Okay, it's only been maybe the last 20 years where these people have gone away with their quote unquote non-PC culture that they keep on saying that they're a part of. It's selectively racist. You guys do transferring of racism from, you guys pretty much transferred racism from black people to Asian Americans, to Latino Americans, to Muslim Americans, etc., because you guys can't get away with committing racism on blacks because of the NAACP, etc. And to me, it's just, there is a reason why I'm purposely doing a video, particularly on this guy, Nick Dipaolo. I mean, he's not the worst of them. I think Sarah Silverman, is probably higher on that list of just absolute hypocrites, absolute selectively racist hypocrites. I mean, racism has pretty much morphed from general racism to just selective racism. As long as these entertainers can get away with a certain amount of racism to certain groups, they'll do it. That's where the material pretty much goes towards. Versus Sarah Silverman, she did blackface. She apologized for it immediately because she knew what the consequences are. And I keep on bringing that up because, there needs to be consequences for these people. Because, if there's no consequences, they'll just do their material on races that they could get away with, groups that they could get away with, etc. And here's the thing. It's not just a joke. It's not just a joke. It's not just entertainment. All right. There's a whole entire industry of, the ad industry that all it does is use the media to brainwash people. These people are doing the same thing. They're using the media to get the message across, to brainwash people, and it has a huge effect on the social environment. It has a real physical, calculable effect on society as a whole. And that's why it's not, what you're doing is not just freedom of speech, shouldn't be considered freedom of speech. That's why there are safeguards there where you guys get thrown off the platform for saying negative things about anybody and everybody. And it should be that way. All right, because if you guys are not okay, if you guys know where the parameters, and you guys don't go after certain groups because you guys, because there's a greater consequences of it, of you getting canceled, and then you guys going after other groups, that means that certain groups are getting better treatment in society versus other groups, and that should never be the case. All right, whether it's part of the construct or not, whether you're doing it purposely or not, it becomes that. That is the reason why it's not just free speech, a matter of free speech. That is the reason why in the 80s and 70s, and there were groups going out their way to actually, confine this racism, to maybe comedy clubs, etc. It doesn't get out. All right, you don't believe me? Go back to the 80s and 70s and 60s. They actually knew where the boundaries were for everybody and not just for certain people. All right, it wasn't until 20 years ago where certain groups, blacks and Jews, kind of just did their own thing. It was a wild, wild west as far as racism is concerned, as far as selectively going after certain groups concerned. Wrong on so many counts for you guys to be doing certain stuff like that. And over the last 20 years, you guys actually think that that's just the way it is, which it's not. It's not, okay? That's not the way it is. That's not the way it should ever be. All right, and all I can say is thank God for social media. Thank God for the social justice warriors. Thank God that there is a voice for everybody to just, to just cancel you guys out, because your hypocrisy, and your cowardice is just painstakingly obvious.